Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be piloting a new series called Tactical Plays, and in it I'm going to be covering various plays I've learned over the months that will help improve your play from maybe average to maybe good. Some of these tactics have definitely helped improve my play and kept me in Masters. So let's get to it. Today I'm going to be covering the tank flank. And I've got this little debug base set up here to demonstrate a couple of core things about the strategy, and then we'll jump into a couple of replays. So basically, the idea behind the tank flank is that tanks do a lot of damage to harvesters, and tanks are fast enough to avoid infantry. So I'm gonna move this little tank up here. Actually, let's do this tank. We're gonna target that harvester, get a little infantry rocket blob here. The tank can follow the harvester if it tries to run away, unlike rocket infantry, because they're about the same speed. And if enemy forces show up, you just run away. The infantry can't really do anything, because you can outrun them. And so as long as you keep your eye on the tanks, it's pretty free harassment. Now, tanks are also good against defenses. Everyone knows turrets suck, and you'll never see one. But a heavy tank can 1v1 a turret pretty easily. By the way, this map is agenda. You'd spawn over here. Sending a heavy tank around the bottom here, assuming you own the middle. Silos needed. Actually, there's an easier way to do this. Is there? Yes. Anyway, sending a tank around the bottom to harass this ore spot is really good. So, medium tanks can also work. I do prefer heavy tanks for this strategy, but the extra speed on medium tanks can come in handy, though the speed's a bit overkill. But medium tanks just don't have a lot of punch, so it will take you a little while longer to kill a harvester. Tesla coils are also no match. 3 heavy tanks can easily take out a Tesla coil. Probably 2 can, but if you don't want to suffer too many losses, 3 is the way to go. It can also destroy harvesters, as you can see. If you have a couple rocket soldiers sitting around, like 1 to 2, tanks are pretty good against those as well. Only takes a single volley. Actually, you could probably take care of 3 rocket soldiers, really. And that's about it. You just send them around into the ore line, and then you kill harvesters, and then run away when the enemy shows up. So like maybe like to this corner, or go to a different ore patch. So like if you're harassing this area, you could then come up here and start attacking somewhere else. The idea is to keep them alive, and if possible, return home. They're not suicide missions, these are raid missions. So let's get to the replays. I've got a replay where I do it right, and I got a replay where I do it wrong. So there's a good replay. We're gonna first go a bad replay. This was on a test map with we're testing moving highs to Soviets, but it's not relevant here. So I'm facing Schmitty in the left. He is playing as allies, and I am playing as Soviets. Now the reason I went for the tank flank on this map is I thought Schmitty would play kind of passive because we were testing Heinz, so I need to get to Heinz tech before maybe I die. He doesn't give me any room, as you'll see here. I go for a quick oil grab, he goes for the hospital. I destroy his oil from the back with grenadiers. All pretty standard stuff. I went double ref, he went double ref. I believe I get an early APC here. Yep, APC is just because I knew he had a lot of army mass in the middle, so I wanted to just kill it, basically. Doesn't go too hot, but I do come out ahead, I think. Oh, I don't. Right, because I lost the APC. Yeah, it's still a pretty even trade, all things considered. I rebuild a flak truck, because it's always good to have a scouting vehicle. And this was an MCV rush, so... Or a standard MCV timing, anyway. So I get my MCV out. Park right here to guard the ore. Set up in the middle. Spinny does likewise. And I get my first heavy tank. And almost suicide a flak. So what I do here is, I'm set up, I think I'm pretty safe. So I send the 2 heavy tanks around south to attack this ore patch and this ore patch. For starters, this isn't a very good harassment anyway, because they're already mined out. You want to hit ore patches, preferably, where they're not mined out, because then you'll get more value. And second, I did this too early. You never want to do the flank this early. You always want to make sure you have a couple tanks in your main army. So once you have like 4 or 5 heavy tanks, that's when you split off 2 to go attack. So he just uses his tanks and rolls over me, and my tanks are not here. And I lose the base and the game. Losing your first expansion is usually GG. And that's what 2 tanks can do. He lost the tanks, but it didn't matter. He killed my entire army. And my economy. And my MCV, I think. Yep. So, my heavy tanks did kill a harvester. And see how they're disengaging from the infantry. But at this point, it didn't really matter. Also, that just wasn't a good harassment because there's nowhere to run as well. This is just a corner. So just a horrible idea in general on this map. And I eventually lose. I do a sneaky expand up here, but he's so far ahead in assets, he just kills my war factory, and then there's no coming back from that.
Battle control.
Or something, I don't know, he just destroys my base. Now we're going to go onto the good tank flank. As you can see, this was a 2v2. This was actually streamed by 5 Aces, so you can find this match when he uploads this stream. It's me and Big Smoke on the bottom. Digital Jihad and Point One on top. I consider all of the other 3 players about minions level. This isn't completely even, but I think this is a high enough skill level that you can see how the play works. These are a bit unorthodox spawns. We're both on bottom, they're both on top. So most of the contested eco is actually safe. All 3 of these ore spots are pretty safe. And our middle ore is pretty safe. The only thing that can be really contested is these 3 up top. So it gets pretty choky. There's just some initial fighting. I bring a dog. Dog is a good boy. We secure our oil. They secure theirs. Nothing fancy here. My plan this game was to get a very fast MCV out. We're just picking apart some infantry. Get a very fast MCV out. Plant a Tesla coil here to deny him that ore. Then we'd take the middle and the left side. And that way we'd have more map control. Point One does a cute raid. I did see it coming, so I don't know why I thought he left because he never attacked. So I suicided my harvester. Picked off the rest with a flak. And here's my MCV. So we're moving up. That's the coil. He plants down here. I don't push into that because I'm not going to gain anything and lose most of my army. And so, now here's the map. Just how I planned. So we have Big Smoke has the left side. I have the middle. I also have an MCV going around the bottom, claiming those for lots of eco. I actually moved my original MCV for that because I felt pretty safe because I had a Tesla coil here and a flame tower here, and if he did come around, and a scout rifle. And if he did come around, I could move this MCV back down here. And so I just moved my army to protect my Tesla coil, assuming he would target it once he found out. But actually, he went for a radar rush, which I was not expecting. Oh, I lose some forces here. At this point, I shoo away the artillery a little bit, which actually nets me another harvester kill here. But overall, I'm kind of stuck here. I can't push into artillery, base defenses, Heinz, and whatever. At least not without radar tech. I do have more units, but most of it's in infantry. So, and I know middle's pretty secure. You can't really push anywhere with artillery. So in kind of a stagnant play like this, where neither side can push each other, this is where heavy tanks come in handy. The tank flank. So, I just sent all my heavy tanks. They weren't really that useful anyway, and I knew he couldn't push me. I could just pop defenses until he got bored. So I just sneak him up here. He postures, but he never attacks here. And you can see, 5 heavy tanks. 2-shot harvesters. I could have done it with 4 tanks, in fact. And now he's down 3 harvesters out of 2, because I already killed 2 down here. The Point One's dead, and that took 15 seconds. And he can't counterattack me because I have flame towers, infantry, V2 set up, yak support, And I just use the yak to kill the artillery so that his push is slowed down even more. So, once I kill those harvesters, I don't stick around. I assumed they would have back expansions back here, but they were actually really slow to take territory. Normally, I would have killed more harvesters, moving these tanks back here. So, I take a... what's the word? Take a small prize. Take the oil out. So that point 1 has literally no eco. And then, since it was a 2v2, I could also hit his ally. So, Big Smoke's helping me with a couple light tanks. They don't really do anything. So I send a couple heavy tanks around this way. And then I leave one heavy tank on each ore patch. So when he expands there, I can kill the harvester. There was no real point on this map to move the heavy tanks back to base. Normally I would bring them back to my home base to help defend or counterattack or so on. But there was no way I was getting through this line in the middle here. Again, I was pretty lucky to sneak through in the first place. So I just left them up here. Killed 2 more harvesters over here. And then notice how I always run away once the job's done. Longbows make this a bit tricky, but normally you shouldn't see longbows this early. And that's it. That's GG. And that's the tank flank. It's very effective. If you ever feel like you have excess tanks, because after a certain point, having more tanks doesn't really help you. Like if you have 7 tanks in one army, you could probably do okay with 5. You can send those 2 tanks around. Strategies that really complement this is repairing your tanks and keeping your numbers up. As if you have lots of heavy tanks, you will be able to employ this strategy more often. You don't want to leave your army naked. But if you have a lot of tanks, you can always split off a couple. Yep. And for my next video, I'm not sure what I'll cover, but this is the tank flank.